Since Major League Baseball was founded in 1876, there have been exactly 20,272 players. They've come in all shapes and sizes from all across the globe. While many have made history within the game, others have made a lasting impact much bigger than baseball. For a game with so much history behind it, you would think you've seen it all, whether it's speed, contact, power, pitching, or fielding. Which is why it's so mind-boggling that to this day, 147 years after Major League Baseball was founded, we've never seen a player quite like Shohei Ohtani. In 2023, Ohtani will be heading into his sixth and possibly final season with the Los Angeles Angels. Right now, at the age of just 28 years old, some people already consider him to be the greatest baseball player of all time. He's playing in a baseball league containing the highest level of talent and skill you could possibly play. But that doesn't stop him from being one of the best hitters and one of the best pitchers in the world right now. Next offseason, when he officially becomes a free agent, some analysts believe he will become the first player in MLB history to sign a contract worth $500 million. But how did this incredible rise to dominance start, and how did he get to this point? We're going to break all of that down in this video. This is a new series I'm going to start doing on the channel where I basically give the backstory of the biggest sports stars currently playing and how they became the players they are today. If it gets good feedback and you guys enjoy it, make sure to comment below which player I should cover next. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight to it. Shohei Ohtani was born on July 5th, 1994 in Oshu, Japan, making him the youngest of 3 children in his family. He was introduced to baseball at a young age, and growing up, as you could expect, he was always the best player on his team. Fox's Ben Verlander visited Ohtani's hometown and interviewed Deki Obora, one of Shohei's close childhood friends. Obora said, quote, "The impression that I got at the time was that he was like some kind of monster. I got the feeling we were no longer classmates. He played baseball on a whole other level. When I first saw him play in elementary, he hit a line drive down center field for a home run. The very first time I saw him swing the bat, he hit a home run. I knew he was different. I would say he's like the god of baseball." While Shohei was known locally for being an incredible baseball player growing up, he started gaining international attention when he was playing at Hanamaki Hagashi High School. At this point, Shohei was one of the hardest throwing high schoolers not only in Japan, but in the entire world. During a high school game at the age of just 17 years old, he threw a pitch registering at 99.4 miles per hour. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you come from, if you're throwing that fast as a teenager, MLB scouts are going to have their eyes on you. Another important piece of information that I have to mention is that in high school, Shohei wasn't really considered a two-way player. He was more so known as a pitcher who could also hit. This isn't really that out of the ordinary because there are several MLB stars who, when they were in high school, were the best hitters and pitchers on their team, but eventually just stuck with whichever one they were better at and could make a career out of. Everyone thought that was going to be the same story with Ohtani, and he was going to have to choose which one he wanted to do. But he believed he could do both successfully at the next level. And for every player to come before him, the quote-unquote next level was the Nippon Professional Baseball Organization, or the NPB, which is the highest level of professional baseball in Japan. Essentially, it's Japan's MLB. But when Shohei finished high school, he said that he didn't want to play in the NPB. He instead wanted to become the first Japanese player in history to sign with an MLB team straight out of high school. Ohtani said that it was a tough decision to leave his country at such a young age to play at the highest level of baseball on the planet, but he said it was always his dream to play Major League Baseball. It wasn't about money, it was about following the dream. Once Ohtani made this decision, several MLB teams were lined up hoping that he would choose to sign with them. But there was one NPB team that stayed in the mix, and that was the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Basically, the NPB draft works like this. Teams nominate a player they want to select. If more than one club nominates the same player, there is a lottery to decide which team that player goes to. Teams that fail to sign a player they drafted lose that pick. So choosing to draft a player who openly wants to play somewhere else is extremely risky. But that didn't stop the Fighters. They were the only NPB team to call Shohei Ohtani's name in the first round. A decision that many people thought was stupid since he publicly stated he was going to the United States and he didn't want any Japanese teams to waste their pick on him. After Shohei got drafted, he said that his feelings to go to America were unchanged, but the Fighters didn't give up. The team made a presentation that they showed to Ohtani and his parents. In this presentation, they wanted Shohei to understand that every player in Major League Baseball that came out of Japan benefited heavily from playing NPB baseball first. Also, in America, there is the infamous minor league system that players have to spend years in with no guarantee of ever getting called up, while also making pretty much no money. But perhaps the most important part of this presentation was that the fighters were guaranteeing Ohtani the opportunity to be the league's only two-way player. They understood how bad he wanted to pitch and hit, where in the United States, they would most likely make him pick one or the other. He was also offered a $1 million signing bonus and the max rookie salary of $15 million. They offered him the number 11 jersey number worn by former player Yu Darvish, and they promised him that when he was ready, they would allow him to pursue his MLB dream. In other words, they went all in. And luckily for them, it worked. Shohei was convinced, and he was staying in Japan for the time being. His first year in the NPB as an 18-year-old was his worst year statistically. In 214 plate appearances, he batted .231 with 3 home runs and 20 RBIs. As a pitcher, he was 3-2 with a 4.02 ERA in 80 innings pitched with 68 strikeouts. Next year was rough again as a hitter, but he started showing signs of being a star pitcher. Isao Harimoto, a Korean-born player who holds the record for most hits in the Japanese professional leagues, said that Ohtani was, quote, being childish, and he was selfish for taking at-bats away from real hitters who were clearly better than him. Following the 2014 season, Harimoto still had a pretty good point, because in 2015, the hitting stats just weren't there, while he continued to thrive as a pitcher. There was a growing sense that Ohtani would have to stick to pitching and retire from the hitting aspect, but it's a good thing he didn't, because his 2016 season was his breakout year as a two-way player. He posted a .322 batting average with 22 home runs and 67 RBIs with an OPS over 1,000. As a pitcher, he was 10-4 with a 1.86 ERA and 174 strikeouts. In 2017, he dealt with an ankle injury, so the home run and RBI numbers dipped, but he still managed a very impressive .332 batting average, and his pitching numbers were decent in the 26 innings pitched on the mound. After this season ended, it was pretty clear that Ohtani was ready for Major League Baseball. His 2016 campaign proved that when healthy, he could pitch and hit at a professional level. Now it was time for the MLB bidding. There were 7 main contenders: the Giants, Dodgers, Angels, Cubs, Rangers, Mariners, and Padres. And after months of meeting with these teams, Shohei Ohtani announced that he wanted to begin his Major League Baseball career as a member of the Los Angeles Angels. When Shohei chose to sign with the LA Angels, it was very big news. He was marketed as a dominant two-way player coming out of Japan that had potential to be one of the league's biggest stars. But just like any new player coming into the league, whether it's a prospect that worked his way through the minors or someone coming from overseas, it was always more of a "I'll see it when I believe it" type of situation. Anyone can get hype from the media, but not everyone can live up to that hype. Shohei had plenty of doubters when he came to America, so he once again had a huge chip on his shoulder. He began his first MLB season at age 23 in 2018. He put up solid numbers on both sides of the ball in his rookie year. Despite having a UCL strain in his right elbow that sidelined him for a significant portion of the season, he still took home American League Rookie of the Year honors over Miguel Andujar. After the 2018 season, it was revealed that Ohtani would need Tommy John surgery on his throwing arm, so he didn't pitch at all in 2019, but was still healthy enough to hit. The good news was, in the games he played, he again put up pretty good numbers. The bad news was his season was once again cut short, this time due to a knee injury that required another surgery. In the shortened 2020 COVID season, it was another rough year for Ohtani. These were his stats for that year, but keep in mind this is a very small sample size because, you guessed it, he was dealing with another injury. On the pitching side, in his first start of the 2020 season, he faced 6 batters, allowing 3 singles, 3 walks, and 5 runs, and was taken out of the game without recording a single out. In his next start, he pitched a perfect first inning, but in the second, he walked 5 out of 7 batters and let up 2 runs, and was pulled from the game before even finishing the inning. The very next day, he was shut down for the remainder of the year as a pitcher after suffering a forearm strain. His numbers at the plate were really bad as well, but at least the one positive about the 2020 year was it was a shortened season, so if there's one year to be dealing with injuries and putting up garbage numbers, it was that one. But you can't put into words how important the 2021 season was for Shohei Ohtani. His doubters were growing because he's yet to prove that he can stay healthy, let alone be a hitter and a pitcher in the best league in the world. So the next season needed to be a big one from Shohei. And once again, he did not disappoint, because we finally got to see what a healthy Shohei Ohtani looked like as a two-way player, and he blessed us with one of the most impressive seasons we've ever seen from a player. He played in 155 games as a hitter with 46 home runs, 100 RBIs, and also led the league with 8 triples. As a pitcher, he was 9-2 with a 3.18 ERA. He led the league in WAR with a 9, when every single other player in the league that season had a WAR below an 8. These numbers gave him his first career All-Star Game appearance and the AL MVP award. This is the Ohtani that the media hyped him up to be all these years, and he showed us that when healthy, he is a problem. In 2022, he was even better. He hit 34 home runs with 95 RBIs, but as a pitcher, he was 15-9 with a 2.33 ERA and struck out 219 batters, while also finishing the season with a WAR of 9.6. If Aaron Judge didn't have arguably the best offensive season in baseball history, Shohei would have won MVP again easily. Instead, he finished second in AL MVP voting, as well as fourth in American League Cy Young voting, but became the first player in MLB history to make the All-Star game as a hitter and as a pitcher. As we head into the 2023 season, it'll be interesting to see what type of numbers Shohei could put up if he manages to avoid injuries. He could retire right now, and the impact he's had on the game these last 2 seasons are something that will be remembered for decades to come. With every swing he takes and every pitch he throws, he's making history. Shohei Ohtani was born to play baseball, and we should all consider ourselves lucky that we are alive to witness this greatness take place, because we most likely won't see a player like him ever again. But that wraps up this video. A lot of work went into it, so please leave a like on it if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, please comment which player I should cover next. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.